First, we'd like to welcome two new members, Lynn Mullen and Jim Dobrowski, as new members of the board. Thank you for volunteering. Tonight's going to be pretty busy and so forth. If anybody would like to speak, when you do, please get up, name, address, so you can be identified. We're going to open tonight up with a notice of intent to construct a single-family home with associated grading and utilities within the 100-foot bordering vegetated wetlands buffer zone at McHugh Circle, map 45, lot 71, filed by James Rourke. Representatives and Mr. Rourke? Just Nancy.
Thank you.
My name is John Connell. I work for SciTech Engineering here with Mr. Rock, the owner of the property. As mentioned in the ad, this is a single-family home for an existing subdivision lot, Lot 3, home at Lot 3A. See the wetlands to the south, the drainage easement to the east, so keeping a lot improvements to the lot, the single-family home and garage. To the north and to the west of both the easement and the wetlands, and we're proposing a silt fence between the limit of work, the silt fence between the limit of work and the vegetated wetlands, town water, town sewer, and that's a synopsis. If you have any questions.
Hold on a second. I don't see in our packet where this house is going to go. Oh, wait a minute, sorry.
Shows an existing detention basin. What was that originally constructed for?
That's for this subdivision here of McHugh Circle. You can see the drainage system flows to the east there, and then it discharges under this proposed way here.
Okay. The drainage from the house and all that's going to be going into it?
The front yard will drain to the street, and the backyard will continue to go where it goes now. To the south, to that wetland area.
The front will be draining towards the street.
Correct.
And the street drain is going to go into the drainage easement?
Yes, so they'll be treated by those, well, the catch basins, that detention basin, and then discharged to the east under the roadway.
You got a maintenance proposal for the detention basin?
That, well, that was part of the original subdivision. Is that way accepted by the town yet?
No.
No. That would be, fall under the developers.
That's one of the issues this town has, is with detention basins. The problem being is maintenance of maintenance.
That would be up to the planning board to assign that. Wouldn't be up to us. But that would be the planning board to make sure that detention basin and so forth. The engineer would, from what I've seen, would assign that to be maintained and so forth.
Well, it's a combination between planning board and conservation. Not just solely planning board.
The developer would usually, they'll maintain that until, if and when it's accepted by the town. That's
Who is the developer? Not you.
Mr. Rock.
Are you the developer that did the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. Are you going to prepare a maintenance program for that? as part of the overall project and the house?
If I need to do that, to have it accepted by the town, I will do that. The roadway to be accepted.
That's something that we need to open some serious discussion with the planning board and everyone else. I mean, your willingness to do it is one thing, but it's an issue that needs to be addressed overall. Whether you plan on doing it annually or whether you pay to have someone do it annually, and some sort of trust fund or something of that nature, that's something that might be able to be worked out. But that is an issue.
I know that the road's bonded, and there's a bond sitting in the Abington bank. So, it would, I believe that there is part of that is the maintenance.
Any other questions from the board? I just have, I don't have a scale. What's the distance between the vegetated wetlands and the back of the house?
Closest point would be, let's see, about 34 feet.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? At this time, are there any residents that would like to get up and speak about this? I'll open it up the floor to the public. Okay, if that's the case, then we'll bring it back to the board. And if you're satisfied, I know you're not a voting member yet, Jim, but you're satisfied with your answers so far?
Mr. Work is genuinely interested in talking with the planning board and conservation, establishing some sort of maintenance program for the drainage easement.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's something that needs to be,
We'll put that.
not maybe part of this, but probably stipulated somewhere in this.
We'll put it in the order of conditions. That's easy enough to handle that right now tonight, so we don't have to hold them up.
We can't
You
close
also
because
do
there's
not
no
have a
number
file
yet.
number, so you cannot
There's no
approve
numbers
tonight.
yet on anything.
Okay, also, there's no numbers on this yet, so we really can't take a vote tonight.
Almost really, there aren't numbers. There are no numbers on any of these plans.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
That was originally approved by the DPW, so I can get you, I have the numbers of the house.
That was on the overall project, not this,
excuse me,
not this filing.
I'll take, let's calm down. You have mass DEP numbers?
Yes.
For this?
For this?
This was all part of a subdivision that was approved, and I have the DPW's numbers and things like that.
DEP numbers?
For this current filing though, Jim?
Yeah.
The new filing, every individual lot's gonna need its own file number. And I checked before I left the office and on a lookup, and this doesn't have a new number yet. But you're right, there are old numbers to all of the original work, but this new proposal needs a new number, which DEP has not issued yet. They received it, reviewed it, they haven't issued a file number yet.
So what, you'll have to ask for a continuance to come back with your DEP numbers, and also if you could have some kind of plan for the maintenance of the drainage, and that would be fine, but we can't vote on it tonight without the DEP numbers. Sorry.
If you have a lot of DEP numbers from old houses, something like that, check to make sure that you have a certificate of compliance issued on them. If not, we need to start that process.
Sorry.
We'll look also at what was approved through the planning board for drainage and maintenance of that.
That'd be great. That way the next time you come in front of us, it should be pretty quick.
Yeah, we'll have an update on what was approved by the planning board at that time.
Do you know when our next meeting is?
Advertise?
No.
No. No, you're just requesting a continuance right now due to the fact that you don't have your DEP number. But if you come back with that other information, it should be pretty quick. There wasn't that many questions.
Do you want it the 24th or the 31st?
The 24th, I think, is 24th,
both-
okay with everybody? For the next,
24th
next meeting,
Pardon?
24th of,
August.
August 24th. What do you mean, no?
I can't be here.
Oh, okay, but I mean, can everybody,
But I would like to be, so if you can do it on the 31st, that would be better.
well, that's the day after Labor Day. That might be a vacation time, so I think it's the day after Labor Day, I'm not sure.
Say most of the town halls on vacation, aren't they?
Why don't we make it the 24th, so and, is that okay? Do you think you guys will be ready the 24th?
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so this will be continued to the, can I have a motion on that?
Make a motion to continue the hearing of McHugh Circle to August 24th, 2021.
Second, please.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Unanimous?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, guys. 24.
6:30 time? Time.
6:30. 6:30, oh, yeah. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda. And again, before you come up, I want to let you know that you don't have a Mass DEP file number also, so, but you can present your case and see where we go from there. But it's notice of intent to construct a single-family dwelling, including driveway, grading, landscaping, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer at 75 Dale Street, filed by Rick Montgomery. Did they bring notification cards in?
Pardon?
Notification cards? Do you have any from-
No, I haven't got those yet.
Oh, you have them right there? If you just give them to Nancy?
Both, thank you.
Good evening, Commission members. My name is Paul Bakers with Grady Consulting of Kingston, Massachusetts, on behalf of the applicant Rick Montgomery for a notice of intent for 75 Dale Street to construct a single-family dwelling with a detached barn with a proposed septic system, gravel driveway, and associated grading and landscape at 75 Dale Street. We are aware that we do not have a Mass DEP number, but we understand that there is some public input, so that's why we wanted to proceed.
Okay.
The resource area that exists within the site in the vicinity of the project includes bordering vegetated wetland and the name of the river here. Shumatuska Cotter River, here and after the river. The wetland resource area was delineated by Ken Thompson on January 30th, 2019, and renewed by South River Environmental on July 3rd, 2020. An intermittent river determination was issued by the Abington Conservation Commission on September 23rd, 2020. No other known resources in the area, including vernal pools, certified vernal pools, riverfront area, priority habitat, which exists within the vicinity of the project. The project itself, as I mentioned, consists of a proposed single-family dwelling and associated grading located within the 100-foot buffer. Also, a proposed barn and a proposed septic system. Both the barn and the septic system are located outside of the 100-foot buffer. The proposed septic tank and pump system associated with the house are also located outside the 100-foot buffer. Grading, more detailed grading is provided on sheet 2. And the grading characteristics generally maintain the existing conditions in terms of catchment areas and runoff, so that similar conditions would exist with the development, with the construction of the houses and the barns as they exist today. The silt sock and silt fence are proposed for erosion and sediment control, would stay in place until construction is complete and vegetation is established. Away from the proposed dwelling and the barn, access to the site is from 75 Dale Street is across the existing driveway. Additional erosion control measures would also exist through that existing driveway due to the wetlands and the intermittent river that's through the access point. And I guess with that, I can take the questions the commission may have.
Again, the proposed dwelling, and then, are these flags, KT 304, 305, and so forth, is that the wetlands flags done by the botanist?
Yes, that would have been done by Ken Thompson. The dwelling is approximately 42 feet from the nearest wetland point.
42?
Yeah.
Okay.
No work is proposed, no structures are proposed within the 20-foot buffer. Landscaping is proposed outside the 20-foot buffer. We are proposing to go inside the 20-foot buffer to meet the existing driveway. That's just where the driveway itself lies within the 20-foot buffer. The property lines are shown, are proposed. These parcels are going through an A&R process. The applicant owns all of the land within the proposed boundary.
Okay.
Are these lots going to be broken up?
No, they're being combined. Right now they're in about 8 or 10 individual lots. They're going to be combined into just 2 lots.
2 lots. And a Christmas tree farm is going out there?
I don't know the intention of what's going on out there. I know the proposed building and the proposed line. I don't know the intent of the rest of the lots.
Rick, did you file, what is it, for the forestry, is it a 62?
Not filed yet.
Are you going to?
61A.
61A?
Yeah,
So you're going to...
one step at a time, we're trying to get people.
Well, I know you said you had a 15-year plan, and that's about where it takes to make a Christmas tree grow, but then you have to tie up your land with the state for 10 years.
Correct.
And you're okay with doing that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Where would that farm be on this plan?
It will be to the left of the barn. Am I correct?
This area with proposed tree line, there's this area.
It would be to the other side of the septic system that's proposed.
Okay.
And you have like a circular road. Can you just explain what that's all about? Your road, it looks like the road goes up the driveway and then goes around, or does it, am I reading this wrong?
No, that's not
You're reading it correctly.
Oakland Road and driveway. What's the status of Oakland Road?
Oakland Road is a private roadway, and the applicant owns the top side of Oakland Road. So with a private roadway and then 2 opposing owners, they both own to the center line of the street. They're both allowed to make improvements to the roadway as long as they don't get access from the other user. So in that particular stretch, there's an existing path. That path would become a gravel driveway. So it's improving access, but it doesn't prohibit access of the abutter.
Is that the ancient road that we walked that day?
Yes.
So that's the one you call Oakland Road?
That's called Oakland Road.
No carriage path.
You bought this and you have notated that you have 2 areas of isolated land subject to flooding. When you come back, you want to designate those as ILSF 1 and 2. Mentions them in the report, but it doesn't show anything on the plan how to designate them. And I'll take it as isolated land subject to flooding, because there's no argument saying it's not.
And the report said there was a vernal pool or potential vernal pool on the land.
There is a pond out there, if I remember correctly.
I remember it was years ago we walked that out here.
Looks like a big kettle pond.
It's a big
Do
swamp.
you have a question? That's in the, all of the review. Certified vernal pools, no. Potential, yes.
Yeah.
Estimated habitat priority, so that's right in there.
Right, I read, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just wondering where on the map.
I'm not aware of any certified vernal pools. I'd have to review
No, it's
the
not
report.
certified, but it's
I
potential.
would have to review it.
I believe it's the first one by the house in reading the information that was submitted. Can you provide us with a better description of between here and here in a single page I don't know about anyone else reading this, but that is an awful busy area in there that you can't figure out what's what.
We can provide.
Which one are you talking about, Jim?
Where the driveway is, Mr. Howard's property, Northwood,
Sure.
Have you looked
you got
at,
probably 2.5, 3 lots of land where the driveway's going in. I can't figure out where the driveway is, where the wetlands are, where the buffer zone is, or what. It's all too much going on in that one particular area, so,
did you look at the second page?
yeah.
Okay.
The second page focused on the building, the proposed dwelling in the barn, so we can provide another page that focuses on
But
the entrance.
you understand where I'm talking about from
Yep.
here to this point here to the property line,
Yep.
getting better detail. And the other thing is when they designated it as an intermittent stream, from what point to what point? Does it go from property line to property line? Or is it within a specific?
What, that river?
Yeah,
That was brought forth in front of the conservation last year, so I don't know, somewhere in March, April, by the previous owners, and it was determined that it was a intermittent stream that night.
where does it start, where does it
It was
end?
just, it was all the way through their property. Matter of fact, I think, Sean, you're here, Sean Riley, you represented them that night, am I correct? That intermittent stream?
I was listening to you.
Yeah, I know that, I'm just trying to clarify it for one of the commissioners.
When the Winowitz were here, yeah, I was in the room. There wasn't a definitive, it was basically that area of town. And Mr. Elwick, I know, spoke on it.
I did.
He knows it
Yep.
better than most.
Oh, yes.
But they didn't designate from point 1 to point 2.
Well, the Winowitz property, which is now the Montgomery property, is a substantial length. So I think the board was focused on that specific area, that length.
Yes.
Whether it went further north or south, it wasn't really specified, but the
That particular
determination-
night, we just, if I recall, we okayed the fact that it was an intermittent stream on this land, all the way through it.
I can only offer two then, naturally, because the stream starts just north of this property, that must be intermittent also in the
Right.
north, because it's not a flowing river. When it turns into a river downstream, I don't know. On this property.
Yeah, well, matter of fact, while we're talking about this, Mr. Ulrich, would you just, because you were part of that conversation that evening, could you just, fill us in on what you recall?
Certainly, I appeared on behalf of, or in support of the Winowitzes who previously owned this property. My property is at 99 Dale Street, south of this, river-wise, and mine had previously been declared an intermittent stream,
Okay.
and I had documentary evidence by way of photograph, by way of reports that indicated that that area and the Winowitzes area was indeed intermittent. And we didn't actually specify station points in the river, we simply said along the Winowitz property.
Right, okay.
And that was sufficient for what we were trying to achieve that night.
I mean, Jim's new to the commission, we just want to get him up the scale, so that's fine with that. Before I open it up to the public, any more questions from the board?
Now, can you show the complete bank, the 2 river banks going through the properties?
We have that information, we can show that, I'll make sure that's in the.
I appreciate it. Also, there's a 100-year floodplain that's not shown either.
Is there any reason why the proposed dwelling needs to be so close to the wetland?
View of the wetlands is the intent. We'd like to be able to see the wetlands from the property.
But you were saying 20 feet?
Huh?
You were saying 20 feet?
42. 42 from the wetlands to the dwelling. The nearest points.
And so you can hear the frogs and the beavers.
There's a lot of wetlands.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
On your second page, you have drainage from the house discharging just north of the isolated land subject to flooding number 1. And you just got a discharging. What's the status of that?
That's the roof in the foundation drains.
Right, they're gonna go into the ground, or you just gonna let that run over the ground?
It's gonna, we really, the outlet is outside of the wetlands, so it'll have some area to infiltrate, but it would be keeping in with the existing drainage characteristics of the area.
So you're trying to tell me that the isolated land up to the footing is not protectable?
It's all draining toward that area today, and so there's no change in sort of drain habits. We're not directing any new water towards that area.
And the same thing with the barn?
Similar to the barn, yes, it's going towards the south of the page, away from what you've marked as wetland number 2.
Is that our property? I can't tell where the property line is. Is this the property line on the bottom here?
It's a solid line.
Dark line?
A little bit higher. Yep.
So you don't own the property south or east of that?
Yeah, way south of that, no, but that's within the existing characteristics of the roadway today. That's where the water drains currently today.
Yeah, again, I'd like to see where that river, both banks, plus the 100-year floodplain.
I'm a little confused. Are you breaking up these lots, or?
Joining them all together.
So you've got one driveway, and it looks like lot number 1 isn't even using the driveway.
I can give you some background on that. So we've gone to the planning board for an A&R to take what's not shown on the plans is basically 10 different lots. Basically rectangles. If you put rectangles all along lot 2 and lot 1, there's 10 or 12 rectangles that represent 10 or different parcels. We went to planning board for approval not required to basically combine all those and just break it out into 2 parcels, one being the existing dwelling that's there, they would have their own lot, and number 2, the much larger lot. That would be proposed lot 2. We are still in the process of getting planning board to sign off on that. They went to town council, we just got a response back late last week, and we will be pursuing, what will end up being pursued is a new driveway access for lot 1, almost basically in line with their dwelling. So it's going to be 2 separate, eventually it's going to just be 2 separate lots. The existing house will be on its own lot, and this proposed lot would be on its own lot and use the existing driveway that's out there today.
So how's lot 1 going to get in without cutting into the wetlands?
That's what we have to determine. So we would have to file another notice of intent for a crossing. How the method of crossing, like I said, we just got the feedback from town council last week. We're taking steps to determine that.
So right now, the area where the driveway is, you do not own that land, do you?
The driveway, yes.
You own the driveway?
Yes, the applicant owns the driveway.
And he owns both lot,
Both sides.
he owns lot 1 and lot 2.
Yes.
But there's only one driveway, and it's...
That was the issue that came up with the planning board, and that's what we're trying to do.
Being shared by two lots.
What lot is the Wetland's house on? Is that lot 1? The big,
I believe that's this one, isn't it?
the Wetland's house, the original big square block?
That'd be number 5. Which one was the original?
this is it.
75?
Existing 75 Dales within block number 1.
So you're looking to share this driveway between these 2 lots?
As part of the A&R process, we're proposing to put a new driveway in for lot 1, and that's coming later.
And you said that would be to the east or the west?
Another driveway for lot 1.
But that would be within lot 1, 50 feet away from the existing driveway, that type of thing.
Through wetlands.
That's what we have to analyze. We have to analyze the location. It would probably not extend all the way up to the house. It would probably stop short, and maybe it'd be some sort of pedestrian crossing as opposed to a driveway crossing. That's what we're trying. That's further on down the road. That's not.
Yeah, and to the board, you have to understand that will be another notice of intent, completely separate from this. That driveway that they're proposing.
We just got
complete
the
separate
information.
project, so we don't want to be talking too much about that right now. We're just looking at this. You look confused.
I am confused, because how are they gonna get into their lot if they don't have a driveway and it's shared with somebody?
Right now, they're gonna be doing that with the planning board. If the planning board accepts their proposal for the second driveway, they will come back in front of us with another notice of intent.
To do the driveway?
Yes.
And if they don't get the driveway, then what?
I don't know. I don't know. That's why it hasn't been proposed yet. I don't know. I can't answer that
So
question.
technically, what you're proposing now is that you share this driveway.
It'll be the same owners, yeah, lot one's not being sold, so it would be the same owners. We would have to, the building setbacks are based off of the A&R approval, so, you know, these order of conditions, and once the order of conditions are issued for lot 2, they're valid for 3 years, so we're kind of, there's a lot of moving parts, so to get the building approved, we have to get the A&R approved because of zoning setbacks. They would not line up with the existing lots. So, but this is just one of the steps. The NOI was one step that we could move forward with at this time while all the other pieces are moving.
I hope it works out, but what if the zoning board says no? What if something gets tied up with them?
The planning board?
Yeah.
We had a nice hour-long discussion, and so we're both on the same page. So.
I watched the meeting.
Which is lot 1, which is lot 2? This one?
That the small lot is lot 1, correct?
Maybe I read the email from the town council incorrectly, but I thought that she had said that you could not share the driveway. That was her determination. Are you planning to appeal that, or what's happening there?
No, the intent is to have 2 separate driveways.
Okay. Okay.
The planning board did not want a shared driveway.
Right. Yeah.
Is there any way to push that house back, the dwelling, proposed dwelling? I don't like it so close to the wetland.
How far back would you like to see it?
Personally, I like to see 100 feet. But
Well, you got quite a bit of leeway there, because you can move the driveway and the house back into the buffer zone up here. Not impact anything. She's referring to the distance between this house, the porch, and the isolated lands up to the party.
I can confer with the applicant. It would be a continuing way, so I'll work with the applicant and try to find the optimal location of uses on the road.
Right now, you're 42 feet.
Correct.
And before we make any decisions for you, would 50 feet be approval on the board, so that when they come back, we can have it just, in other words, can we just set a figure right now on this, so that, I think 50 feet, that would be, just move it 8 feet?
So I think that's reasonable.
Why does
Reasonable with everybody else on the board?
Why not 100?
He might not have enough room with the driveway is and so forth, and again, what we're trying to do is approve the wetlands around the proposed dwelling. They don't have to move it, because they came with the notice of intent to build it right here, but if we can all agree on one thing, and that would be 50 feet, I think that would be a good accommodation for everybody.
I'd like to see more. I'd like to see 60 at least.
I want to see more than 50.
Jim?
I'm not happy with it being that close at all, with her being 100 foot away. If it was a vernal pool and could be certifiable,
Is it?
it won't be after the house is built, that's for sure.
Nobody's walked this property either. So nobody's, I mean, it's beautiful. We went out there to the showed us around. It is absolutely gorgeous, but maybe if anybody, you're a botanist, if you went out there and
Not botanist, biologist.
flowers, I'm sorry. You know, if the property was walked and people saw what was out there, they'd have a better understanding. You know, so-
if I read this scale correctly, from the wetlands, the KT 303, let's say, or 302, okay, you got 120 plus feet to the roadway. Am I correct?
So,
Yes.
So about there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can't ask them to have the back of the house in the middle of the driveway. That's impossible.
Well, if you look at the line he's drawn from the southwest corner of the building, he's 249 feet away from the buffer zone.
Where are you?
Look at where the proposed dwelling is, at the southwest corner. See the line says 249 feet? You go from the house lot to the buffer zone, that's how much you got. 249 feet, so you have the space to push that driveway and that house further west with no problem.
I don't think it's the Conservation Commission's board to suggest that, you know, where people can put their houses on their own property, but that's only my opinion.
I'm looking at protecting the isolated land subject to flooding and the potential of it being a vernal pool and being certifiable.
Again, we're not going to approve these plans tonight no matter what. So if the applicant wants to change the dwelling area, he can. Or they can come back with a set of plans. If it doesn't get approved, there's an appeal process for them. I mean, it's his property, his land. I mean, he can propose what he would like, and we can approve it or not approve it by vote, so.
But this driveway, is this a proposed driveway?
That driveway is a
Or the
proposed,
actual,
that's
because
a
I know the
proposed
road
driveway,
is
right?
there, but that's a proposed driveway.
Yes.
It's not an actual driveway.
Right.
So that could be pushed back? As
I
well as the house?
don't myself know what the construction problems is, whether it's ledge or whatever, why the proposed dwelling's here, but this is what was presented to us. So,
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to understand, like, if we are saying, no, we want to do 50, but in general, the goal is to 100 feet, right? Why not move
well, that's
things
why
around?
if it's outside 100 foot, they don't have to come in front of us.
Right.
So,
Well, they also have this other issues, though. I mean, in terms of the driveway and stuff, but they're probably going to have to come back.
no, the driveway's existing. They're going to come in front of us. I don't want you to get too confused. They're going to have to propose another driveway for the existing dwelling at number 75. If the planning board approves this, this will be the driveway for the new dwelling, the proposed dwelling, okay? Am I saying this correctly? Yes. Then the planning board will be looking at another driveway that they will come with a set of plans and then come in front of us with another notice of intent, okay?
Right.
So, for right now, these are again, we're not going to vote on these tonight anyways. They've heard the concerns. If you want to move the house, it's up to you. If you want to come back with the same set of plans, it's up to you. It'll still be a vote from the board. But we're not done yet. We have to open it up to the public still. I just want to make sure the board has got their questions answered so far. Okay.
Another question.
Go ahead.
The nature of the proposed well on site, is that going to be, how is that, what's the information on that? It's outside of our jurisdiction, but it's leading towards that area.
It's an artesian well. Currently, we can't hook up to sewer or water in Abington because of the water issues. And it's the only alternative I have right now.
Is this going to be a machine drilled?
It is. It's an artesian well. He said the variation could be anywhere from 120 feet to 165 feet.
You might want to check with the Board of Health, because I think at one time they voted that they weren't allowing any more wells in town.
We're already set up with
You've already talked to Marty?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we have our permit and everything.
It's a long drawn out process,
It has been.
especially dealing with DEP on it.
Okay, I'm going to open it up to the public now. Do we have any questions? Anybody have anything to speak on this project? Please come up, name, address.
My name is Doug Ulwick. I live at 99 Dale Street, immediately adjacent to the property in question. I purchased my lot 39 years ago. It'll be 40 years in May of next year. And I built my home in 1993. When I bought my land, I had a final order of conditions on it already, so I'm well familiar with the wetlands there. As previously mentioned, I appeared before this board previously to talk about the nature of the Shumatuskakant River, say it after me, Shumatuskakant River, that it is an intermittent stream, and it is. That's important. I'd like to address some remarks tonight on two different fronts. One is having to do with work already done on the property, and the other is the proposed work. As an architect, and I know Mr. Montgomery's in the trades, it's unusual for me to see any work proceed on a project till permits are in place. So I was a little surprised when work began in March, and right after they had purchased the property. And over the course of time, I have seen what I would consider 4 different, well, to use the word violations, in terms of wetlands and what has been done. And I have diagrammed them, and I can present that to you. I didn't bring up the presentation board, so I'm going to kind of log on to what's here. I'll just put it up on the top. This uses a base plan that was created for the Winowitzes as they were preparing to sell the property. No one was interested in buying it until they understood what was there in terms of wetlands and in terms of where the ledge was and everything else. So I have this plan from that time. Now, the violations, in my mind, I would note, are immediately upon buying it, Mr. Montgomery went in and cleaned up the wetlands to the right of the driveway as you pull in. Made it look nice, but you don't do work in a wetland without at least doing a request for determination of applicability or some sort of notice of intent. That was done. So that was number 1. Number 2 on my list, he cleared trees. Some of you might be aware of that. It's been a massive tree clearing operation, and it's happened within 100 feet of the wetlands. Just on this plan right here, there's a section here that was within 100 feet, and this other piece that is being referred to as a vernal pool, I've always called it a kettle pond, blew right on by it, and cleared all that without any notice of intent, without any request for determination of applicability. And it's not just cutting trees. When you cut the tree down, you're also taking out the stumps, so you're digging. In fact, at the far end of the property, it might even be over the property line, there is a tree trunk graveyard up there. I'm not sure if it's on the town's property, which is about to be auctioned off, or whether it's on Mr. Montgomery's property, but there's a massive pile of tree trunks up there that have been dug out. So there's been digging within 100 feet of the wetlands as well. Most recently, there's been a couple of dump trucks brought in from J.A. Price, and filling has occurred on the lot. They've leveled out, well actually first they extended a bit of a plateau in front of the driveway, in front of the existing house. Now that is an area subject to flooding, and basically they took away flood storage area. So if the river floods, it can't flood there anymore, so it forces it out in other areas. I kind of became an expert on flood storage because in order to build my house, we had to do compensatory flood storage. So I'm alert when filling occurs that close to the river. And last but not least, and it kind of transitions the conversation, the driveway. Now, the driveway was installed when the house was built by the Winowitzes, I think in the early 1960s. They simply laid out a culvert where the river was flowing and put dirt on top of it. That was it. It floods a lot, and it has flooded a lot over the years. About 3 years ago, Mr. Winowitz went in and cleared out everything to the left of the driveway and dug up the culvert and put in 2 culverts and put gravel on top of it. It still floods. In fact, that's my next graphic.
turn this easel around so the rest of us can see it too, the audience?
I can make these available for anyone to look at who wants to see them.
Yeah.
Maybe you can move to the front
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
so we can see it.
The bottom picture of these two is the Linowitz driveway in January of 2018. You can see it's flooded. This is after he had put in 2 culverts. This is after he had graded the front. And it's not just coming from the river, it's coming from the wetlands right to the, as you pull in the driveway, that Mr. Montgomery cleaned up. It's coming across the river from both places. This driveway and its culvert system is the first impediment to the waters of the Shumatuska as they flow north to south. Now we're hearing that they want to put some second crossing in. That's another topic. But this driveway is a fairly delicate part of this system. And living just downstream from it, I've come close to having a flooded basement. I'm talking within an inch several times. Not several times, a couple of times in all the years I've owned it. Anything that affects this flow affects me. And if I end up with a wet basement, I'm going to be very upset from any changes that are happening. Now, most recently with the filling that happened in front of the house that decreased the flood storage area, they also capped off the driveway. In essence, raising the dam. How that will affect the flow, I don't know. But I think in part they had to do it not just to make it look nice, and I always appreciate Mr. Montgomery tries to keep things neat and perfect and neat as a pin. And let me say, I support what he wants to do, and I know it's not coming across that way, but I do. I love the idea of a family farm there with Christmas trees and pumpkins and bees and everything he's talked about. I just want to make sure it's done right, and this concerns me. This driveway that was intended to serve one house has been serving trucks, has been serving all sorts of vehicles. I think there are 6 vehicles parked at the house any given night. Now, in addition, he wants to have the same driveway, maybe not doing that, but serving a house probably with an in-law apartment from what we heard at the planning board hearing, and also a barn that has a septic system. I think we can figure out that someone's living above the barn. So I think this simple little driveway is going to get a lot of traffic. And of course their intent had been to be a shared driveway. Now I take issue with the characterization of what the town council said and what's going on with the planning board. It's kind of a chicken and the egg sort of scenario here. The planning board, before they grant approval to this Lot 1, Lot 2 scenario, want to be sure that there's a way of getting into Lot 1 without a shared driveway. They don't like shared driveways, neither did town council. They want the Conservation Commission to approve the scheme to do all this before they even see it again. So it's not them approving something they knew, it's you guys are in the driver's seat here. And I think this is all very complicated. And the last one I have, and this might answer some of Mr. Dombrowski's questions. I worked with a current plan just to delineate the 100-foot setback, to understand some of the complexities of the site, and just highlighted them because it's pretty impressive the amount of area within 100 feet that we deal with on this particular property. As we can see, the area fronting on Dale Street, pretty much every single inch of that property is within 100 feet of the wetlands. Every single. I live in this condition myself next door. I understand it, but it is. And anything that's going on there, you guys should know about it. It should be in front of you because it's within 100 feet of the wetlands. That's reason to notify it. This is the rest of the property, and again, the green areas shaded are the 100-foot buffer area for the wetlands. There's a lot of wetlands here. What I wonder about, with all the tree clearing, and I'm sorry I didn't point that out in this last picture, at the far end of the property, as far north as you go, that's where I took that panoramic picture. It's been cleared massively. The tree clearing operation here is just beyond belief.
Maybe the area up front where the barn is,
Yeah, beyond the barn.
beyond the barn.
Yeah. And I think that shows, again, a wetland there, which,
Yeah, it shows an isolated land subject to flooding.
well, this is where this picture was taken. This is a panoramic view. So, a lot has happened already, and I love to see on the latest plan that there's siltation fencing required and other means and methods to take care of the wetlands, but where are they now? The horse is already out of the barn. The work has already been done. I also am very curious about where the detention area is in this plan. Once you do this massive amount of tree cutting, once you take out all these root systems that can absorb all this water, and you're left with a lot that's full of ledge and full of outcroppings, where's the water going? It's flowing down to the Shumatuska camp to the north of that all-critical driveway that acts as a dam. It can't take it. It just can't take that kind of water flow. We won't see that until January or February, but we'll see it, is my prediction. And I think that needs to be planned. I don't envy you guys reviewing this project at all. I think this is a DEP project. I really do. It's very complicated. There's a lot of moving parts. It's a big piece of land. It has a lot of interdependent elements. And, you know, I'm certainly not qualified to design a detention basin or even tell you that it needs one, but just understanding how much has been taken out of here already that could absorb water and say, it's gone. It's absolutely gone, so where's the water going?
I'd like to ask you one question. During the month of July here, during the month of July where we've had a record amount of rain, did you find the river flooding over and over the driveway?
Oh God, no, because we had a dry spell before that. We had a very wet month, but up until then, I mean,
Right. I'm just
I was
asking
hoping to
if
do
you-
fireworks in June, and the fire chief said, absolutely no way, it's too dry.
Okay, I was just wondering if there was any
No.
problem. Okay,
It tends to be a problem when the ground is frozen,
okay.
so we tend to see it in January and February, and then we have rainfall instead of snow, and it has nowhere to go, and again, now it has no root system.
And there's only one other thing I'll just say in this. I mean, you brought up the amount of cars and so forth and so on. In the town, every house does not deal with 2 cars anymore. 3, 4, 5 cars. So that's the way they live. Or somebody else, or my house, or whoever else's house will have just, you know, maybe 5 or 6 or 4 cars. So the car problem, I don't think has anything to do with us as far as the conservation.
Well, when does a driveway become a road? I mean, we're talking a farm here now. There's going to be other vehicles going in and out. When does it become a road?
I don't know, that would be planning, I understand that, but that would be planning, but again, I'm just going back to your issue with the amount of cars and so forth. Take a ride down any street in Abington, just look at anybody's driveway, does that
But the driveways aren't through the middle of a wetland.
No, I know what you're saying, but this is already an existing driveway, and this existing house has been there, so we're trying to talk about a new dwelling. I'm just looking at the fact that every house has many cars.
Well, I'm looking at new uses.
See again?
I'm looking at new uses.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Yep, and then if this goes forward, we're gonna be looking at 2 driveways. If it goes forward according with what they've explained tonight.
And again, that's complicated chicken and egg. I mean,
Right.
they want to see from you first, and you want to see that they're going to
Yep.
approve. I wish this could happen jointly, but I know it doesn't.
Right, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's been discussed too, with the boards and so forth, to try to have more communication.
There is no stormwater management presented,
Okay,
none. You have proposed driveway, you have the existing proposed gravel driveway or existing pathway called Oakland Road, drainage off the house, drainage off the barn. You start clear cut, you're gonna have more drainage. There's no stormwater management on the site at all.
okay, so noted, okay. Anybody else from the audience have anything else they'd like to say? Ooh, should be careful. We're going to bring it back to the board. If you'd like to get up again, I would just like to say that There's been a lot of questions. We can't vote tonight anyways. We have no DEP number. Anything that you can bring back to us at your next, we'll give you a continuance. Anything you can bring back to us the next time, and see how it goes from there.
Is there any advantage to submitting it early? Do you get to review it if I submitted it earlier?
We only meet, when's on,
The 24th.
the 24th. We're only gonna meet on the 24th again.
No, I didn't mean for opportunity for the board to review in advance of the meeting.
We can't do that. That would be an open meeting law violation.
Okay.
And we have to be careful with that.
Here, to Nancy individually, we can look at it in advance.
Yep.
Rather than coming to a meeting and say, we're just getting it now.
We'll submit it to Nancy.
Have a chance to get it ahead of time and digest it.
This looks pretty complicated. Should this be turned over to DEP?
I can't understand you with what?
I'm not talking characters.
So you're blind as well as deaf?
No, that's one thing I'm not. You.
No, I was going to say, well, this is such a complex issue. Should this go directly to DEP and let them?
You have to provide.
No, we have to vote first, and if we vote not to approve it, then they can appeal it to the DEP.
Okay.
That's one thing I wanted to make clear tonight, that no matter, and I know this question and so forth, and when they come back with a DEP number, and we vote and it doesn't pass, they can appeal it to the DEP. But we're not gonna bring the DEP in right now. DEP would rather see us vote one way or the other, okay?
If you decide to deny it, you need to go through the regulations and pick out what regulations you're gonna use to deny it and state the reasons for it.
Yes. I'd like to have a motion to have a continuance on this till the 24th.
Before that, can we make sure that no work's done? No more work is being done over there until?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah, no more tree felling, no more.
No more tree cutting in the wetlands.
it's only a couple of weeks, so if you can just bear with us, okay?
The silt screening and the buoys were scheduled to be done. Is that okay on the plan, or do we want to just stop?
How are you installing the silt fence?
It's a company out of Milton that does it. It's all per the plans that you currently have right now.
It's just a stake with a silt fence.
That's for the socks.
Would you have any objection to, if we can coordinate this, get a walk on the property?
Yeah, you can walk through.
I've invited you guys
Yeah, I know.
multiple times, and
I'm gonna get my pony up there, believe me. It's me trotting through. But, yeah.
Okay, so we're okay with the silt fence?
Well, you get silt fence and silt sock.
Right,
Yeah.
both.
So you get two different styles.
Correct.
The locations of each are identical.
That's what we're worried about.
In the
just
red,
locations,
you're
making
talking
sure
about around the entire perimeter. Again, I go back and ask how you install that silt fence. You know how it's installed properly?
It's on, we have a detail on the third sheet.
That's gonna fail during a heavy storm. No back by hay bales, it's just laid in the dirt.
The
You
stake.
get heavy rain, you're gonna have the whole thing washed right out.
The hay bales on the plans are staked. On the third page?
I don't see no hay bales. The silt sock is staked.
On the bottom left, silt fence.
Where do you see hay bales?
Oh, I'm sorry, just a silt fence, but that's staked in.
And backfilled with dirt.
I mean, in the years I've done this, I've done that.
Yeah, me too.
That won't fail, I don't think. Paul, you agree with this?
As long as the stakes aren't broken.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, right now, we stand on a continuance. The silt fence and socks are okay. No more work to be done until the next...
Locations are good?
Yep. Well, no more work to be done until you come in front of us again on the 24th. So I would like to get a proposal, a motion for a continuance.
Question. Can the hearing be postponed until September, until after the planning board is met? There's a lot of issues that the planning board received from the applicant that are pertinent to this commission to make a decision on.
Well, what we're approving is the fact that the house, we're going to approve, they might not approve the set of plans. What we're going to approve is the fact that the house, we are going to approve the house where it sits within the 100-foot buffer. We're either going to approve it or we're not. Doesn't make any difference what the planning board says then. If we don't approve it, then they would probably go to DEP and so forth. But whatever's going to be presented to us, we will vote on as the applicant wants it done.
Did you read the planning board's attorney's letter?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying what we can do as a commission. We can, as a commission, approve something as far as the conservation of the wetlands is. If the planning board doesn't approve where it is, they have to come back in front of us again.
Did you see where the planning board said that the Conservation Commission was going to be the driving force behind this?
That's why they should come in front of us first.
So you're asking that we ignore the fact that the planning board has not issued a permit?
Did you just hear what she just said? That they've asked us they asked us to be the force behind this. So if we approve, if we approve the plans that they're going to bring in front of us, then the planning board has a way to say, okay, then it's fine as far as the wetlands go and the conservation has approved it. Then they can work with that. Even the planning board is trying to make this, a better process. So, if we don't approve it, then they have to go through the appeal process with the DEP and so forth, and the planning board will still be hung up until the DEP makes a decision.
So let the planning board make their decision first and then we'll follow. What if the planning board says no? Even though the Conservation Commission says yes? Just seems like we're putting the chicken before the egg or the horse.
And I think the planning board is saying the same thing to us. It makes no difference if you would prefer to go in front of the planning board.
No, they'll send us right back here.
That's
in order to construct the proposed dwelling, we need approval for both lots with both notice of intents.
And that's the way already.
The planning board has to approve the A&R. So if one of them is denied, then the whole thing is shot to order. If lot 2 got approved, but then the A&R never went through because lot 1 doesn't get approved, the order conditions expire, nothing ever happens.
So I would suggest you come back for the continuance, see how far you can get with the plans, and we have a motion right now for continuance for the 24th.
So that on the 24th would just be the house. We wouldn't be talking about the driveway.
Right.
Correct.
Right. It would just be the house, and the house is going to use the existing driveway.
The house and the barn, right?
And the barn.
And the barn.
In the barn, yes.
And the driveway.
All the motion is a continuance. So if we have a motion, if I get a second.
My thing is, Karen won't be here, and like we've been saying, this is a lot of moving parts.
No, I understand that, but we can't just stop the whole process because one person can't be here. We have somebody not here tonight. Rick's not here tonight.
Okay.
Okay? So we didn't stop this meeting because Rick's not here.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. So, again, the 24th? Motion in? Second?
August 24th.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
I got a problem with the fact that this commission approves it.
Pass it down to Lynn.
For Lynn, that's for you.
That was I found that and I didn't catch you before you left the other day, the full plan.
I got that email.
Little map.
What is everybody here? I still know everybody's here.
And I've got the abutter notifications from Sean Riley.
This is for Groveland Street?
Yeah.
That's the gray area. Don't go there.
Okay, we're going to go on to our next on the agenda, and this will be for a notice of intent to construct a single-family home with driveway, utilities, and associated grading within the buffer zone to bordering vegetated wetlands at 428 Groveland Street, filed by Abington Investments, LLC.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Conservation Commission. My name is Attorney Sean Riley, 500 Washington Street, Abington. I'm here tonight with the representatives of Abington Investments, LLC, which is Mr. Gilman and Mr. Gilman Jr. They're seated here in the second row. I think most of you are familiar with the points, residents and own business in Abington. Also, I want to introduce Rebecca Baptista from Silver Engineering, better known as SEA. They are located in Bridgewater. Rebecca will be putting on the presentation tonight as the engineer on record. She'll have the plans to show you. We are here basically just for a notice of intent to build a single-family house on a Form A lot on Groveland Street. The point, let me give you a little background. Thank you, first of all, we have to send out 37 notices, 37 or 38 notices for this proposal because the Smith property is about a 15-acre parcel on the corner of Groveland and Linwood Street. And under, as you know, the state law, we have to send a notice not to just the area, the lot that we're working on, which is a 30,000 square foot lot on Groveland Street. We have to send a notice to all the abutters of the entire 15-acre parcel. So we sent notices to people down Linwood Street, Groveland Street, and even up to King Avenue. So if any of the neighbors here are from there, that's why you got a notice from there, because of the large parcel. But actual work is shown on the plan right there. The reason we're here tonight, the Conservation Commission, is for Lot 1, which has been given the number of, I can see there's a picture, there's a copy of that. Is anyone else here for this? This is just a copy of this plan. Unfortunately, I talked to the assessor's office, do we just send notice to people who live around that lot on Groveland Street, or do we send notice to everybody who lives around the entire 15-acre parcel? And by law, we have to send it to everyone around the 15-acre parcel. But just so you know where we're located, it is just this house being built right there on Groveland Street. And it's been given the number of, was it 538? 528 Groveland Street for shown the plan as Lot 1. That's about all I'm going to say right now. I'm going to turn over to Rebecca because she's the brains behind the engineer and the drafter of the notice of intent. But obviously, I'll be here to help out with any questions. Rebecca Baptista.
Introduction. Rebecca, engineer for Silver Engineering. Mr. Riley has done a great job explaining most of it, but I'll give you the rest of it. In August of 2020, we had Ken Thompson of 5 Wetlands delineate the wetlands as they go across these 3 lots and on the backside. The rest of it, wetlands shown from the GIS. So when Mr. Thompson went, he did a series of flags on both sides so we can visualize how much room we have to work with. Then we divided and formatted out those 3 lots. These 2 you haven't seen because there's no work within the buffer zone. So lot 1 is the one that has the work within the buffer zone. We also have a floodplain, which is inside the buffer area, and so that being touched. We're not touching anywhere near the 25. We are grading within the 50, and the house is within the 100. We have town water, we have town sewer. The closest activity would be about, well, 25 feet for grading. There's not much else to a single-family home with water and sewer, so if you had any questions.
You realize there's a vernal pool out there on that line?
Way out there, we do know.
Okay. So is that portion mostly all wet through there?
The vernal pool is down over here.
Yep.
And
Well,
although we had it flagged recently to investigate potential, it hasn't gone any further than investigation.
Bob Gray was the one who really know that, I don't know more about it. Sabesha?
Oh, yes, Sabesha. So yes, I do know we're not even here to discuss it.
There's approximately 12 acres of the backland that's not being touched. It's not part of lot 1, 2, or 3. There's an additional 12 acres that just remains as 12 acres.
Yeah, that's the town-owned property.
Right, on the opposite
Straight going
end.
right through it.
On the opposite end down towards,
High Street.
thank you, High Street.
Is this the existing house that was on the corner?
I was just
that's-
going to say that. This was the existing house right in the corner, right in here. Yes.
Okay,
Yes. So it's still up while they're building the next 2 houses?
Yeah.
Or the next 1 house?
I'm just moving over for the microphone. I should have said, Mrs. Smith lives in the house on the corner of Linwood and Grove. When her husband passed away, and she approached Glenn to ask if she could work with her about taking down her house because it was in pretty bad shape. So one of these 3 houses, Glenn's rebuilding a new house for Mrs. Smith. Yes, that has no water conditions, no wetlands issues. That is the one that I think the neighbors see under construction now. That's Mrs. Smith's new house being built. The old house or the existing house will eventually be ripped down to make room for lot 2 in 1.
okay.
Is that kind of like a 1950s water and flat spread out thing?
Is that indoor?
Indoor swimming pool with a retractable roof, was that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
I thought one of the, didn't we, where you go up there? That's what I thought. You was the one that built it.
In place of that one building, we're going to do 3, and this is the one on lot 1. All grading.
Well, do you have any problem about putting some permanent markers on the wetlands line?
I beg your pardon?
Do you have any problem with putting some permanent markers on the wetlands line?
No.
What style of permanent markers does the town of Abington?
Anything that says leave me alone.
There's none required, Rebecca, by...
Well, I've been to many a town with many different signs, so
Yeah.
I was just wondering, do you have a preference?
Metal T-post or anything of that nature to mark it, because the wetlands flagging has to remain until the certificate of compliance is issued.
Right.
That's one of the conditions.
Right.
And 9 times out of 10, the flags end up disappearing off the trees. So I put some sort of metal post. You put a T-post in there,
I have in other towns done plastic PVC pipes, because,
they're great too.
well, yes, absolutely, we do all the time.
Something sturdy like a T-post,
Sure, that works.
and just put them through. You don't have to go all the way down the line, but more so behind the width of the house, going up to the line.
That's fine.
I mean, I've seen a variety of different markets on how it's done. You know,
2 posts in Middleborough, big sign now like this in Middleborough.
I think when the house is sold, you know, put some sort of notation in it, keep that perpetually going along. The new owner understands what the T-posts are.
So how close is it?
The house itself is just about 60 feet. The closest grading, it's a 4-to-1. It's just about at the 30-foot mark. To go a little bit further, we could. We just pinched. You're getting pinched because of the corner of the wall. And I could pull the grading in, but then you kind of have a sledding hill instead of a long mark. So I was very lenient with the grades, so we can tighten up the grades if you'd like to be a little bit further away.
I'd like to see it a little bit further away, if possible. I understand you
restricted here, but
Again, I would probably just crunch the grading a little bit more and just do a 3-to-1 as opposed to deviating like 10 feet just with that grading.
Any other questions before I open it up to the public? We'd like to open this up to the public now. Just get up, name and address, please. Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Janet Rafensky, 135 Linwood Street, Abington. My question is, I believe that, sir, that you called them flags. Are those markers that they put on the trees to show the boundary of the wetlands? Because there is one. I'm a quarter mile from the corner of Linwood and Groveland. So directly when I look out my backyard in the spring when there wasn't much foliage, I did see the little tag on the tree.
Usually you see orange flagging.
Yes, that's what I saw. And that orange flag means
Flag for what?
wetland. My concern is that it's all wooded in the back of my yard. My yard ends and there's wooded area. Is this the area, is parcel 4? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is,
We're not doing any work. We had it recently flagged, so you see them probably right back there.
yes.
We're not doing anything. We're only red.
Okay, so I don't have to worry that there's going to eventually be a road coming through there, or
No.
it's not going to be built, okay?
If there was ever anything in the next 20 years, you haven't done those.
Okay.
You're further on down the street down Linwood,
Yeah, I'm a quarter mile right from the corner of Groveland and Linwood.
so you're down past Beals Farm.
Just right in here. Yeah, and I'm right across the street from Sunray Lee Farm.
You have a wet area out in your...
Yes,
side yard?
I've got the Vernal Pool out front.
Yeah, okay, that's the area where the housing authority at one time wanted to go through. I remember that very well.
Okay, so just to clarify, if anything would happen to parcel 4, we would get, the abutters would get a notification
Yes.
that development was being proposed.
For that particular area.
Yes.
And the question I asked earlier, where the wetlands line is, if this green line was extended down, you'd find that this expands. There's an awful lot of wetlands, and as you get down here, probably beside your house, there's more wetlands down there too.
Oh, okay. So this is not developable, couldn't be developed right now?
If you, how much would you say that of that is wet? 100%?
Not 100%, but
I mean, a large percentage.
I'd say the majority, probably more than half of it anyhow, easily. We're making no plans for that 12-acre parcel behind it. And had we waited a year and the assessors had updated their maps, you wouldn't even got notice of this hearing because you're so far away.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from the... Where is that? Name and address, please. Yep.
My name's Dan Broman, I live at 222 Linwood Street, right across the street from this. I got this letter on July 27th that said there's one house being built. There's 3 houses over there being built on a plot that had 1 house. There's a whole bunch of trees taken down. The quality of my life and my wife's life is disrupted. Linwood used to be a really beautiful street. I used to say Linwood was the most beautiful street in Abington. That's what I said. It really was. And then all of a sudden, the Beal Farm, 3 cookie cutter houses in there, real ugly. And now we're going to have cookie cutter houses across the street from us to look at. So, you know, I think the Conservation Commission should be concerned with more than wetlands. And I do think that they should be concerned with other people's private property because they affect us. The rest of us are affected by what people do on their private property. And so I think that there was a remark made that you don't really have any jurisdiction. Well, I encourage you guys to definitely think about it because the Conservation Commission is going to be the most important board in the 21st century in any town in this area. This area is overdeveloped already. We're overpopulated, we're overdeveloped. There's too many people living in this area. There's cars, there's traffic, and there's everything. So the quality of our life is being disrupted. We have a wildlife sanctuary in our backyard. We feed the birds. Every year we get more and more animals, more and more birds, because there's so much development going on. It's like a frenzy. And I really think that we ought to stop and think about conservation, what that word really, really means. Conservation means conserving what we have and keeping what nature we have left as a natural place for us. So I just wanted to, I'm kind of venting in a way, because I really can't stop this. It's already started. But in the future, I would really appreciate it if the Conservation Commission would look at not just wetlands, but the quality of our life and the wildlife and all the things that we cherish and make this life so much more beautiful. Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Jim Floyd. I live at 125 Linwood Street, and I'm very nervous, so I apologize in advance. And it could just be me not understanding. So is this property, like down there, so basically what you're calling, is this the existing property now? Like it doesn't extend any further than what the brown house was on?
The brown house exists here, but only all of this.
Yep, right. So
this is the area of activity right now.
Yep, so there was like a basketball court or something back there, I can't see.
Yeah, right back.
Okay, so, but it didn't go with, what did propose? Okay, so it's just what was there, just they removed a bunch of trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
okay.
for the lot 3 and
Yeah.
lot 2.
So was lot 2 already approved?
Lot 2 only did building permit because it didn't have wetland buffer impact.
So is there what on lot 3 with this?
There was no wetland buffer impact.
Oh, so it's, that doesn't, this is me just not understanding, so I
100
apologize.
feet, so within 100 feet, you don't get that far. This is a 400, 500-foot lot.
Okay, and so is the big hole that's there, is that the lot, the house on lot 2, excuse me? Yeah, right. And so then it's just basically adding a new driveway out to Groveland and nothing over there. I'm sorry to wish it.
That's right.
I guess
No.
it's kind of
Hi, Christina Dakota, I'm at 390 Groveland Street. I'm currently like right here, I believe. So what my concern is, because I mean, recently bought our houses was new to the wetland and no development, correct? Okay. And now that we're having those 3 houses, it is very wet. I mean, I'm not joking, all wetlands for a reason, but I mean, our basement and everything is always like pumping out and everything. Now with the addition of 3 homes now, going to affect, especially since it's in the wetland closest to my home. Is that
I just want to say, before you get up here, just to clarify for anyone who's thinking or asking what we're doing, we are not filling in any wetlands. That's not part of this proposal whatsoever. The only reason we're here is because some of our yard work is within 100 feet of the wetlands, so we have to get their approval. That's the only reason we're here. And those first 2 lots on Linwood Street are not, the houses and the yards are not within 100 feet of the wetlands. It's just the back corner of this lot 1 that is within 100 feet. So we need permission to do that. We'll have a bill, so your wetlands that are there are not changing whatsoever on your side or our side. Okay.
Glenn, are you building 3 houses?
Yeah, there's 3 lots. All these lots are oversized. They're only required to have the 30,000 square feet. They're 40,000 plus, 34,000 plus, 39,000 plus. They're large lots.
So you're going to be filing notice of intent on all 3?
No, just the one. This one that we're here tonight.
All the others are outside?
Right, right.
They're 500-foot lots. There's no other impact except for this one right.
Right, the one right at the far top.
Correct.
Did you get the water?
Excuse me?
Did you get the water?
Yes.
There's all 3 will be serving down water and down sewer.
This has been planned.
What are you doing as far as stormwater management?
Pardon me?
What are you doing as far as stormwater management? Just letting it grade off?
Grade off, gently grading off.
Did you clear the land for these houses? Did you clear all of it?
Yes, we cleared the trees out in the front, and the way the driveway is going to go on Grove Street. That was all.
It's an existing
It was
House
flat,
has
it
been
was mostly
demolished.
flat and open.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of trees to
No,
start
they
with?
were overgrown in the front out by where the stone wall along the street line. That side of it we did take down, but other than that, nothing else.
Because I do believe that taking down trees actually does affect the wetlands. I think it makes it wetter. So I'd like to try and see less of that.
In that area.
Yeah, I know.
I think we left a good amount of trees on Wetland Street for that purpose, just to kind of give them a buffer from the street as well. So I don't think there's going to be, we don't have plans to take down any more trees.
No, there shouldn't be, maybe if the driveway comes in, if you have to take one, two on the front, but we left everything on Groveland. And on Linwood Street, we're just basically taking where the driveway's coming through, and we're leaving the rest of the trees. But we have removed the trees on Groveland Street, where that lot would have been when the tree guy was in there. So we're not gonna be cutting anymore, maybe at the front, but that's it.
We can't vote on this tonight anyway because we don't have a key number, but...
Right.
I would have to echo her concerns as far as getting more water. I mean, I see the direction of flow is directly back towards her, to the south, I mean, the east.
One single-family dwelling is not going to make any impact on this large body of wetland.
Remember she said that.
Yeah.
It's a very large body of wetland.
He may not be around when
If you'd like me to take a ruler, I would think that you'd...
I mean, it's, like, when I say there's a lot, like, my sub pump is working.
Our water is very high, which is why this house is raised up.
Didn't they have all of the houses across from the farm that they developed onto the left?
The ones that were down on the farm.
Yeah, there were some, and those people have just been
Had problem with drainage.
always flooded out.
So, if I may, without actually speaking with the applicant, are you amenable to putting roof drains, roof recharge, to minimize runoff?
Whatever you recommend, I'm easy, whatever.
I think that would help.
It would help.
It send it to the ground rather than on the surface. So if you do get water, it's going to take a long time for it to migrate through the soils.
It does offset the impacts of tree removal.
Jim, just as you know, the drainage from Logan Street goes into my property.
That's what I was curious, it doesn't go down the street to the stream.
And that separates her from me. We both have that water coming through, which is huge, you know. We're not touching any of that, you know.
Okay. Anybody else?
Can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Only because I didn't hear what this was. So again, I'm Jim Hoyt, 125 Wetland Street. And this like, I just didn't what you said about the 3 houses that were put on the farm. Did you say?
There was a problem on Linwood further down.
Yeah.
Where the houses were built and there's 3 of them that are always flooding out.
Across the street from her property.
This is a while ago. I mean, these houses have been there probably for about 2-3 years, I think.
Yes. And the only thing I asked is because when they had to get a variance to put the last 2 in, the builder swore they would not get water.
He wasn't telling you what
So
he
now
was...
what happens to these people though? Like, you can say whatever and then they build a house and then is it the owner's problem?
Yep.
Well then,
They have to go-
shouldn't there
they have
be
to-
some repercussions for the person who buys the board?
There should be, but there isn't always. And they would have to go to court, they would have to go back to see who the builder was. And the building inspector, I mean, he had something to do, you know, the building department had something to do with it as far as approving it, so, yeah. Always buyer beware.
Yeah, thank you, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah.
Just for the record, those houses I think you're talking about were not built by Abington.
Oh, no, they're not flat houses.
Just saying that out loud for the record.
For the record.
Some of the problem with drainage in this particular area is impacted from where the old Ware's Farm in drainage work, where the wetlands up there and the stream coming through. Although that has a lot of impact on this area here. If that was properly done, you probably wouldn't have half the problems you do now.
Right.
So I mean, by whatever you can do as far as roof drains and things of that nature, sending it down, that'd be great. These people would, you know, appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. We all set with the board? All set with the public? We're gonna have to come back to have a vote on this. When you come back, just make sure that, we're gonna specify that you're gonna put in the wetland markers and the drainage. So we can put that in special, in the order conditions, okay? Besides that,
Can we ask to be put on the agenda first so we don't have to wait through the other ones?
hey, you could, let's see if you have any influence with Nancy. Okay, that's fine. Could I have a motion for a continuance, please?
I'll motion for a continuance on 428 Groveland Street until the next meeting.
August 24th.
August 24th, yep.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Question? Will the abutters, all 37 or 50 of us, get the same notices?
No,
won't.
This is a continuance.
You won't get notice of that, that's your notice right there.
This is your notice right now.
We can attend.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sure, yeah, they're all public meetings, you can attend any meeting you want.
Okay, go.
Sure.
Thank you.
House, when they tried to build a housing for the elderly, they wanted to put a
Where are we? Here we go.
That's when I brought Bob Gray from Semacia up there, and we actually won our denials.
I remember that.
The next on the agenda is a discussion on surplus land. That was brought up. Karen?
Yes, apparently.
Thank you. Would you close that
That's the
door?
shape, right?
Thank you on your way out.
That's the list
Yes,
of
please.
surplus land that was given to the to the Conservation Commission to go over and make a recommendation as what should be done with it. So, I don't know if anybody had a chance to read the master plan, but if you look through this, there are some, they restate the goals for the open space and recreation to preserve and protect and expand the town's open spaces and to improve the excess areas, increase the number and quality of active recreation areas and facilities, protect watershed, groundwater resources and other natural resources, and increase community connection by walking, safe biking access, open space, blah, 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 blah. And then they reiterate this on the very last page as to what their order of priorities are. Now, this hasn't been followed, not by the town or anybody else that I can see as I read through it. It's sort of like was written, it was handed off, and nobody hasn't done anything with it yet. This is a list of the properties that were allocated to the Conservation Commission to go over, review, and make a determination if we should put them into conservation or what we should do with them. Nothing's been done yet. And with this big auction going on, that's happening on the 10th, I think it is, this is something that we need to be on top of.
Number 4 is being worked on.
Number 4?
I'm on that board.
Which one?
By that committee.
Diane Circle?
No, for Ames Knoll.
Where is number 4?
Chestnut Street, Linwood.
No, I'm saying on the list of priorities.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good. But I think we need to be a little bit more proactive on this because look what slipped by us. There's
As of, I think it's going to be September, they are creating an open space committee.
Oh, yes, I've put my name in for it.
Because I think that they're going to take this over. I'm not positive, but that was the plan for the open space committee. And then they can make recommendations to the CPA on what they can buy and what they should buy. And
It's not the way the land decision works.
No.
It requires the Conservation Commission to review it and for the Conservation Commission to vote upon whether or not they want to go after and take this land and make it protected conservation land. It's the same as donation of land. If you have a parcel of land that you want to donate, you come directly to the Conservation Commission and get the commission to vote to approve accepting it. That's the way it's been handled in the past.
Okay.
That's the way all the laws and all the policies dictate it today. So it's up to the commission to go through the process to review these properties and make a recommendation, do you want to protect them or not? But it's your
Now,
decision.
when you say protect them, does that mean they come off the taxes, the tax roll?
You actually have a deed that's
Right.
specified under the provision of Chapter 40, Section 8C, protected conservation land. That way there it's protected from here to eternity. You cannot sell it.
Right. I know how it works, because I've had land that the conservation has actually bought in another town.
You can either buy it, but most of this property, a good portion of it is tax title. All the land on Diane Circle and Jeremiah Sullivan, that was all land that Boston 5 Cent Savings gave the town. So the town has a deed on these properties.
Okay.
They could very easily issue a deed to the Conservation Commission on them. It's the same as the land up on Vineyard Road. You have the land that the town purchased from the Farm Bureau, which by deed you could have deeded to conservation under Chapter 40, Section 8C. But there is a specific process that you go through.
Okay.
This is where you get the land for your open space plan. It's usually you use the tax title rolls or the list of town-owned land. You go through and decide what you want for conservation. Using the open space plan, you have your policies and your reasons why you want to protect certain land. Land along Beaver Brook would be a priority. Shumatusket River, priority. Around the town's wellfield of Myers Ave, priority. Those are particular areas that call out for the commission to protect the land and even go after purchasing some of those
Well, as far as the purchasing goes, we would have to ask the CPA.
You would go through the process, you'd present it to them, whatever it's gonna cost
And
for purchase.
Who determines the cost on this, by tax title?
Whoever owns the property. It's not tax title. None of these are available for purchase at the particular time. These are either all deeded or tax title properties. All it's gonna cost is your town attorney to go through the process and write up the deed. If you look at some of the old deeds, there's 17 properties that the Conservation Commission currently holds title to. Between conservation and recreation, they're probably the only two that are allowed to have property under their ownership.
Okay.
So apparently what we're gonna have to do is go into the maps and see exactly where these lie. And it's like the Diane Circle, if you add it all up, it's several acres.
There's quite a few acres up there.
Yep, and then like on 135 Vineyard Road, that's 17 acres of land.
You got more than that up there.
Well, yeah, if you combine them all, but, you know, these are some pieces of property that we have to look at to see if it's something that we can use for conservation as well. I mean, if it's swamp, nobody can build on it, so it's safe for now.
No, it's not.
It's not safe?
No. You put
But are these buildable lots that the town might want to sell?
Well, in the process that the surplus land committee went through, we looked at everything. If it was pretty much covered by wetlands, it didn't go out for available for to be declared surplus. It went on the list to be reviewed by the Conservation Commission to determine whether or not it met their policy within the open space plan. All these that are listed, these 58 properties, all fall within the priority of the provisions of the open space plan. Every one of these would be pretty much, if you went through and read it, you'd
Okay.
see which one points out. But you have like, take the first one, the Chestnut Street property of Parecki. It's 45 acres. Now, if the state didn't make an offer to purchase it from the town, the Conservation Commission could come in and actually ask that that land be placed under conservation control.
And I think that is so important.
Is this the property that they took off the auction that's coming next week?
None of this is, no.
The one they took off the auction was property that was tax title, used to be owned by William P. Traynor.
Okay.
There's another parcel on the other side of the power lines, also the same way. You have, the direct frontage is the, I don't know what the name of the church is that purchased the old house on Chestnut, right beside the pond.
Oh, you're talking about the temple?
The temple.
Yeah.
They own the front property over there and some of the upper property. But all of Parecki's property would be prime targets for protection under the open space plan.
Yeah.
If you looked at what's been being developed over there now with the industrial project, it stripped the land bare. You
Well,
look
the
at
plan for that was for the town to take it over and turn it over to DCR so they can close the loop on the
so they
state
wanted to
park.
make a green belt.
Yeah,
Well, one says the 43 acres is Chestnut Street, Porricky property DCR. So what does
that's
that,
probably the piece that they wanna have the town take over, then,
Well, the town hasn't taken it over by tax title yet.
yeah, because there's an issue with
there's an issue with
finding
the
the
title on it.
relatives in the Ukraine. Or something, yeah.
And I do know one of the nephews who lives in Quincy.
Well, let's find him.
So there's issues there, but the next property, it says it's 1.46 acres. It's right beside the brook. It goes all the way back towards the bridge and the grave site that's back there.
grave site?
There's a grave site back there. Now, the name of the brook in that particular area is called Deacon's Brook. So that rings in your bell. The Beaver Brook comes out of the pond. This skirts around from behind the store, out and around where the two houses were built, and then under Chestnut Street. That's Deacon's Brook.
Now, these Chestnut Street power lines, that must be past the pond where the power lines cross
Yes.
over? Okay.
There's 3 lots there. The 14-acre one is the one they took off the list, the auction list, and the other 2 are on the easterly side of the power lines.
Okay, so
That should be on that list, on this list too, that 14 acres should be on this list.
It's on here.
where, which?
Oh, down here.
Down, go down to the bottom,
There, Chestnut Street power lines.
number 45.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Now, there's 58 parcels here that if you voted to go after all of these properties and put it under conservation, you would add to your current total 156 acres of conservation land.
Okay.
That's the swamp that's up beside your property on Helm Street. It's about 60 acres up there.
Yeah, it's 45 acres over there, yeah.
Well, quite a bit.
Well, it's on it's in Weymouth, but I know it's, but there's 45 acres, I think, in Abington, yeah.
So how do we want to approach this?
I would recommend that you keep as a permanent subject open space on your agenda until you finish everything. And even when the open space plan gets created, you don't have to wait a month to go put it on the agenda. Just put it as a standard item. If you don't have anything to discuss about it, just bypass it, that's all. But it's on the agenda as an agenda item.
Hey, can we ask the selectmen to have someone from the Conservation Commission on that board?
Normally, that's how
Open
it's
space?
made up.
On the open space?
You
On
have
the open space,
you
yeah.
have
I put my
three
name
people
in.
at large, one from conservation,
Okay.
and one from planning. That's the way it went back to 1986 when it was first originated. I just happened to have been appointed to it. That's when we bought the Strawberry Valley Golf Course. But there's a
All right, so,
specific order.
Keep in mind, you can be on.
Right now, we should basically discuss this with town council, is what you're saying.
What I would suggest to you is that you keep it as a standard agenda item, discussion.
No, I'm talking about these particular.
All these parcels, if you want all these parcels, say the word and I'll get with town council and the town manager and go through the process. But you have to unanimously vote to want to go after these properties to put it under your conservation plan. I would recommend it and say go after them all.
And then if we don't agree that one of them should stay on, it goes back and they can...
But if we go, let me ask.
You go through the process and kick out whatever you don't want.
Are we gonna have to buy any of these properties?
No.
No. okay,
None of
that-
these properties on this list is a property that you would have to go to CPA for funds.
None of them.
None of them.
Oh, well, that answers
Then I
it.
would suggest that we go after them all,
Yeah.
just like you're saying.
It's a no-brainer. Jim, you got your work cut out for you.
I don't have my work out. You had it over 3 years ago. When I finished up with the surplus land committee and gave you the list. Nothing was done. It could have been done back then.
So are you gonna, as far as the Conservation Commission Board, are you gonna contact town council, or how do you?
I'll get with town manager and let them know what you want to do. If you people want to vote to pursue all these parcels, then I'll get with him and say, here's the list of land the Conservation Commission would like. But you have to vote to want these properties.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if it's not gonna cost any money to the town, and the town basically already owns them anyways, all we're doing is just taking over ownership.
That's it.
Simplified.
We're keeping them from being auctioned off.
You're keeping it from being encroached upon. You're putting it under
So
conservation in perpetuity.
I would, if you wanna take this up, that's fine. If not, I'll talk to the town manager and town council, just to make sure that there's nothing, that would come back at us, then I have no problem with this. If this land has just been sitting dormant now anyways, and there's no taxes being collected, I say we do it.
Well, it wasn't, one of these parcels was on the chopping block, so they're not just sitting idly. We have to really do something quickly.
It was, and that particular lot was removed from the auction list.
Only because someone made a fuss. If no one made a fuss, it would have been auctioned off and no one would have known.
Oh, someone would have known it. When the list came out, I knew about it. And I was the one that talked to town manager about it. And that's why I wanted to get the open space plan committee back going and moving on either all these and even reviewing some of the other properties. The way the surplus land committee went through and reviewed these, we looked at whether the land was either wetlands or uplands. Now, what would you mostly save under the conservation plan?
Oh, the what?
Land that's under wetlands, not the uplands. So when we found uplands, it went in, declare it surplus and sell it.
But you still need uplands.
This particular one snuck under the line and was mistakenly added on the list to be sold off at auction. And I think once the town manager saw the fact that it had some very unique characters to it,
Okay, let's,
that was the process.
let's take a motion to basically go to the town manager, to go to town council, to make sure that there'll be nothing, nothing else that could come back. If this land is already, is a surplus land, quote unquote, to use that as a term, we'll take this over as conservation, all 58 properties. I'll make that motion. If somebody wants to second it.
I'll second it.
I'll third it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Jim, you wanna go to town?
I'll get with the town manager and let him know what your vote is on this particular list. Now, what you won't be getting will be the two school properties. Or the Linwood School property. The first four listed on the list here will not be.
So there's
Maybe
only,
the exception of the,
so there's gonna be 54 properties.
correct.
I wanna make,
So,
Hang on.
The first property will be at
I know, hold that,
number
but
5.
the one, I wanna stop the I wanna correct the motion. The motion will be that we are going to go and discuss with town manager and town council, that we have a list in front of us on all the properties number 5 through 58.
What's wrong with 1 to 4?
Because DCR is after number 1. Number 2, you could probably go after for the conservation if you want.
Let's go, to simplify it for right now, 5 through 58, because that seems to be the simplest way to do it. And then we can look at the Linwood, the 2 Linwood and the 2 Chestnut afterwards, and there might be more added.
Correct. That's why I say, add on your agenda the continuous review of open space. So that you don't have, miss an opportunity if someone comes up and says, hey, I got 100 acres for you.
Chestnut.
yeah, but the 45 acres, the DCR wants that.
That motion. Now, I'd like to move on, so we're not gonna be here all night.
You got one other parcel of land too that falls under the category.
Well, right now, we're just gonna do this in
This
we have a
is
motion.
one that's been sitting on the table for about a month and a half now. This particular lady, her husband died, she lives in Brockton, wants to donate 7 acres of land to the town. Now, she's dealing with Wildlands Trust, who contacted me Lion contacted the town manager, and I am putting it before you for action.
Okay, let's bring that up at the next open space, the next meeting for open space, so
I
we
would
can...
appreciate if you would deal on it tonight, so that this lady would have some news of what direction she needs to go, otherwise you may not get on the boat to get this land. It's 7 acres of land. It's the swamp that goes from Brockton Avenue to Mill Street under the power lines.
Is that taxable land right now?
It's being taxed, yes.
Then I would hold off on that. We're not gonna take any taxable land until we talk to town council and so forth to find out what the repercussions might be.
There are no repercussions. She wants to take the 7 acres of land.
The repercussions are, Jim, the town will lose the tax dollars. We wanna find out if there's gonna be any problem with the town management first.
If it's
Let's just go with this first, okay? And not try to, that might have to be bought by CPA, because that is taxable land. You say no, you don't know that.
She pays taxes on it like anyone else who owns property.
And
she wants to give the land to the Conservation Commission. And the town turns around and accepts it. Town doesn't pay taxes on it. She no longer pays taxes on it.
What I'm saying is there's gonna be tax revenue lost. We can't automatically just take tax revenue away from the town unless we go to the town manager and find out the right procedure. You cannot just inadvertently just eliminate tax dollars from the town.
You really need to understand what the provisions of what the law says for what you need to do. If someone comes here, and I'll give you a case in point. Mary Vilaka years ago came before the Conservation Commission and says, I have a portion of Mill Pond that I'd like to give the town. She donated that land to the town.
Okay, I just want to find out from town, we're not going to take a vote on that tonight. I will not take a vote on that because I want to talk to the town manager and town council, okay, and the assessor's office and everything else to find out if that is the correct procedure, or if it has to go through CPA, or if it has to go to the new open space committee.
Talk to the town manager.
I will.
CPA has nothing to do with it at the present time.
I know, but CPA might have to buy it. I'm not sure. I can't answer the questions. I want the questions answered from me.
CPA does not implement the open space policy plan.
I understand that, but they might have to,
Kathy can attest to the same thing.
Kathy's.
We're not gonna vote on it tonight
We got a
because,
CPA person right here.
I know, but we have to, you're missing something here. We have to, we can't just inadvertently just eliminate taxable land.
Well, then they should take all those cars that are sitting.
So in other words,
driveways.
if you want just to donate your land, that means all those tax dollars are just gonna be gone.
If this commission voted to accept the donation, that's it.
Then I don't agree with the voting on tonight. I would rather find out more about it myself.
Talk to the town manager.
I will. Yep, I will. So leave that one off.
We have perpetual open
If we
space.
can move on here. We're done with this, because I'd like to move on. And I'm gonna have to
Vote on it?
Huh?
Do we have to vote on it that we're gonna do that?
We already vote. We voted on this. We voted on the fact that we're gonna go to the town manager for numbers 5 through 58.
I got Lion's brain, so I
Okay,
gotta give you
all
a
right.
little bit.
Matter of fact, you thirded it, if you remember.
I did third it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna recuse myself because somebody wanted to put on the agenda a discussion about 0 Helm Street.
All right, next on the agenda is discussion on 0 Helm Street. This is, not sure why it's on here.
Okay, how do we start this?
Anybody?
Okay, with 0 Helm Street, we went out and did a property walk back in March. I went out with Greg DeCenza and one of the pieces has had, the orders of condition, and I guess you're looking, or Mr. Noonan is looking to get his order of compliance. The order of compliance will not be issued until the NOI has been filed for lot 65 because there's unpermitted activity for fill and gravel there. So what I'm asking is that the NOI be filed so that the thing can be closed out and you can get your order of compliance.
First of all, this board has no control, no conversation The 22 Helm Street project, which has a notice of intent, is controlled by the DEP.
Was it
That's all the discussion that's going to be made about that, because there was a appeal made back then, and the superseding orders by the DEP on 22 Helm Street on a building that was supposed to go up, and that has the notice of intent. There is no notice of intent on 0 Helm Street.
Well, when I was out there, there was some material, piles of dirt and stuff that were
That was under the request for determination that I brought in, but the notice of intent goes to 22 Helm Street. On your agenda tonight, you want to talk about 0 Helm Street. The superseding orders by the DEP is the 22 Helm Street.
Well, excuse me, first of all, I would suggest that we all go through the chair, Russ, if that would be okay, so that, because the board normally talks and then us who are in the audience talk. I should be able to know, sorry. My name is Kathy Creighton. I live at 53 Vineyard Road, and first of all, I believe that the DEP and my attorney has gotten the same feedback, is that Mr. Noonan he's not going to give him the certificate of compliance for 2008 until he files a notice of intent with the Abington Conservation Commission, and not with DEP, but with your board, to resolve the filling issue at 0 Helm, which was part of the 22, there's a piece that's 0 Helm, the old Warner property, for those that may know that. So that was incorrect. And he also is supposed to be filing something for the property, the other 0 Helm, which was the Romano property that he bought in 2019. So this board is actually responsible for both of those, because he's supposed to be filing for this issue. It's a new issue on 0 Helm with the 2008 compliance, but this board should be telling Mr. Noonan when he needs to do something, because I've been asking for an entire year for him to deal with the billing on the first parcel on the Romano parcel. DEP has agreed with us that he needs to file with this board, and this is under the jurisdiction of this board. I'm pretty frustrated because I think you either need to do an enforcement order or at least give him a date when things need to be done. Just because he's the chair of the Conservation Commission doesn't mean he gets to not do what every other person in this town would have to do if DEP was telling him to do something. It's kind of unconscionable that somebody who has gotten direction for DEP to do something is ignoring them, and they're the chair of the Conservation Commission. Pretty frustrated. So that was it. Thank you.
Okay, back to the board.
I think it would be appropriate to talk to Greg DeCesar from DEP to get some input from them on what they would like to see this Conservation Commission to do.
Well, when we were out there, they said he didn't have to do until he was ready to do something. And as Mike said, it's in their hands now, so in our hands.
Well, my understanding is that the original notice of intent is in their hands.
That's correct.
Not everything else that's been going on.
But that also has been determined by town council that I am in compliance with everything else, which Bill Creighton first had the zoning officer look into. He agreed. Then town council agreed that I am in compliance. And now they're appealing it again to the zoning board of appeals. So I'm basically doing nothing until we get this all resolved, because I am in compliance as far as the town bylaws are concerned. I'm appealing Greg DeCesar because I am looking for a certificate of compliance on a project that was never done. So it should just be signed off.
When did you file for the certificate of compliance?
It was done a year ago. So.
A year ago?
I guess so.
And when was the original project filed?
2008.
2008. So 2011 you would have been completed with the project.
No,
it should have been.
It never happened. The project never happened.
So you never requested a certificate of compliance to the commission from that date until maybe a year ago.
Right.
And you continually clearing and cutting and filling?
No, it just uses open storage as it was
But you have been clearing and filling, have you not?
That I had a requested determination to do that is still in existence.
Is that area anywhere near the original wetlands that original project in 2008?
No, it's a different.
None of it is of it. But that, if you go up there now and you look at Google Earth and you look at that land, it's all been altered.
Say again?
If you look at Google Earth and you go through the periods back in time, you can see where that property has been altered and filled.
Well, I have requested a determination that said I could do it, and I also have a permit for the fill. I've done everything in compliance.
I have a vague feeling when I was talking with Greg DeCesar, said there was non-compliance being the issue at that property.
That's the problem I'm having. He's supposed to be signing off on a notice of intent that nothing happened. We have a disagreement, even with the DEP right now, that I have a letter from town council for this town that says I am in compliance, and he says I'm not, so that's where we're gonna leave it. Until DEP finally comes up with a reason why I'm not in compliance for a notice of intent that was never completed. They should just sign on that.
Why is town council, they referring to town council
Of everything that's happened on
handling it for the Conservation Commission?
Of everything I'm doing on that property, I am in compliance as far as the town council is concerned.
Who's town council advising, the commission or you?
Zoning board, I mean, it's a selectman.
The selectman opinion that I received actually said that they felt that the wetlands was within the jurisdiction of the Abington Conservation Commission and the DEP, and I can provide that letter for you if you'd like.
But the whole thing is,
Excuse me,
I have a request for determination as far as the wetlands go.
Yes, but this is, the DEP has taken this from us. We do not have it as of right now. They have taken this from us along with the attorneys and your attorney. So we really are outside of our jurisdiction as of right now.
DEP for the Romano property has clearly said that the Abington Conservation Commission has jurisdiction.
Yes, and I have a request for determination on that.
Stop interrupting me.
No, I'm not, because you're wrong. I have a request for determination in existence right now for what I've done on the Romano property.
Just because you're the chair doesn't mean you get to interrupt me.
Goes back to
Please
the...
let me speak, because he's been talking and talking. First of all, the zoning has nothing to do with you folks. It's not in your purview. And secondly, I have the attorney letter, and it says it's within the limits of Abington Conservation Commission, the DEP. Doesn't talk about the zoning board or anything else because it's wetlands.
Strictly conservation.
Yes. Yeah, and the Romano property, which I first was talking about, DEP has clearly stated that Mr. Noonan is supposed to file something with this board because it's within your jurisdiction. And the other property, my attorney's been told, along with what I heard from the board member, is that he's holding off on the 2008 compliance, which Mr. Noonan agreed with, but because there was an issue out there. So on that filing, there's things that he may not have done, quote unquote, any work, but obviously there's been some work done right on the border of the wetland. So I just wanted to clarify that, and that's all I wanted to say. I feel like this is being presented incorrectly. And I can also provide the 2 DEP letters, which has been provided to the Conservation Commission a number of times. It's clearly saying that Mr. Noonan's supposed to file, and that's it.
I remember seeing some communications from DEP.
To clarify this, on February 11, 2020, I have a request for determination signed by this board to work and do the work I did, taking trees down and putting fill in. Then there was a complaint. There was a process for appeal. Nobody appealed this. It's right here. You have a copy in your packet. Then I stopped just because, number one, I'm on the board. Number two, Greg DeCesar requested to make a walk with me. There was no cease and desist. The DEP has not taken this over. All he did was request to me, because I brought in a wetlands map. He said, "Can you get a botanist to certify that. I have, but I haven't brought it in front of the board, because I don't plan on doing anything else. I am done. I've put up with this for the last 20-plus years. I'm just leaving it alone. Everything's done. This board has got this request for determination in their hands, and that's how it stands.
But
in that time, you have clear-cut trees?
According to this, what I could do.
I understand that when you delineated the wetlands, they had to be re-delineated because they weren't delineated correctly.
Yep.
Okay.
And once I did that, to come back in front of the board, you were there, come back in front of the board for another request for determination to certify that the botanist agreed. Matter of fact, they actually gave me more room, okay? The ones that I put in were a little east. I actually gained a little bit, if you follow what I'm saying. But again, I made my own cease and desist because of the conversation, because of the nonsense I've been putting up with for 20-plus years. So I've just stopped. I don't need it. I don't need the land. I don't care. Leave it. What I have done legally, according to this board.
I want to point out that the request for determination that this board approved was only for cutting trees. There's not the word fill anywhere on his filing, and the only thing he said was he was going to fill in a few stumps. According to your planning board comments and the fact that I saw 20 cubic yard dump trucks show up on one day, he says he has 230 cubic yards that he put on that property. So the fill was not allowed, the second thing, by this board at all. And the second thing is he used a Mass Oliver, it's an internet wetlands line, which is really, the DEP takes pictures and gives you ideas of properties that have wetlands on them over a quarter acre, but you're still supposed to actually technically flag on the ground. And if you looked at his 2008 filing, and he did flag that area by his property, it was 50 to 100 feet off from what that Oliver was. And a good portion of this material, I believe, is on the Romano property, is in the buffer zone. So anyway, I just feel like we're arguing back and forth. Really, what we need to have is Mr. Noonan just to file like he was asked to by DEP, both for the Romano property and the Warner property that we were talking about in 2008. And seriously, I think this board needs to do something. But unfortunately, it hasn't up to now. I have this bunch of new members, so maybe if I send the stuff again, maybe you guys will think about it. But it's been a very frustrating process for us because we're a neighbor, and not only did he fill, but there's a bunch of stuff back there, but that's really not your problem. The issue here is really about the wetlands. And that's it. Thank you.
Mike, why aren't you doing what Greg DeCeason's requested from you? Why aren't you doing what Greg DeCeason is requesting from you?
I have, I just haven't had the time or the inclination to come here and do any more. I'm done.
It sounds like it's a real headache for you, so why not?
Not anymore.
You can't
just stay right there, just like I've owned the land since 1996 and nothing's really changed. The project that I wanted to do years ago never got done, and now I came in front of the board. I got my request for determination for some other land I bought. I did everything according to the way it was supposed to be done. According to the town bylaws, I can put up 250 yards of fill in, look at a permit. So after I got to about 230 yards, I requested a permit, and I still haven't even used that permit. I'm going to do nothing else. You can't force me to do anything. Follow what I'm saying.
So you're saying that you have responded to any of Greg DeCeason's or any of DEP's correspondence to you?
I have responded to everything. I still have an email into him on questioning the notice of intent with no answer.
Well, personally, and I've been dealing with conservation issues for years. I'm not new to the commission.
No, I know.
I'm not new to the regulations. When I see that amount of trees cut down and that amount of area filled in and the drainage pattern changed, that requires a notice of intent.
It requires a request for determination because that's what I came and got.
if you could file an RDA with the commission and demonstrate and prove that drainage issues are not increased.
Yes, it all stayed right on my property. I am down. Everybody is up with me.
You're filling it, it's compacting, and the runoff is taking place.
Still going on my property. I have plenty more property of wetlands. In other words, I'm only using a small portion of it. The wetlands is out and back of me. All the water and so forth is being contained in my own property.
I question that.
Don't question it, go see it. You hire an engineer and you...
We don't have to hire an engineer, but I believe the cutting the trees and the filling, you have increased the amount of drainage from that property, which wasn't there prior to.
No,
and the issue of a request for determination, that can change very easily by this commission deciding to say, you need to file a notice of intent.
Well, I'm not doing any more. What is my notice of intent going to be for?
For the filling and alteration of the land. You're saying there's no floodplain in there, there's no wetlands that were altered?
No, there wasn't.
None.
And I maintain that all the water from my property is maintained and contained on my property.
I question that.
Well, you can.
I think it would be appropriate for the Conservation Commission to talk to Greg DeCesar at DEP.
They have. They were up there and
Excuse me. I'm talking to the chairman.
They have that. We walked it. They did this whole site. They did all the correspondence. And
the correspondence I heard said that he should file a notice of intent.
But he's not going to be doing anything at all, though.
Russ, when I was out there walking the second time, to the right-hand side of the property, there's these piles of earth, which is part of Noonan's property. It's on, I'm sorry, 65. Oh, it says 0. It's 0 Helm Street. And my boots were sinking that far into the mud. So it wasn't a pile that had been there that had drained out and firmed up into concrete, which piles of dirt do turn into. This was fresh muck. So there was new work that was being done up there. And I was there with Greg with permission, so I wasn't doing anything that I shouldn't have been doing. All you gotta do is file. You're supposed to be leading by example, for God's sake.
What am I filing for? Will you tell me what I'm filing for and I'll file? You have to explain, because I'm doing nothing else. What am I gonna file for?
Well, why don't
Existing work?
Why don't you do what Greg was doing? Well, Greg, when I talked
Guess
to
what?
him, he said you have unpermitted activity for the fill and gravel, and an NOI needs to be filed.
And I asked him, what am I filing? I don't know why, and he never got back to me. I wanted his direction.
I'm telling you what he told me today.
Oh, just he never told me this. I'm glad you found out something about my property.
Well, he said he instructed you, or you guys have had conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
So please, just
There's been no mention of a notice of intent. All he said was go after another request for determination once I got the botanist report. And now this is all new.
All right, so maybe you need to talk to Greg, because he said unpermitted activity for fill and gravel.
And I have an argument over him on this because this is existing conditions since 1996, okay? And it's just a matter of, this is how I've been using my land since I bought it, since 1996, in different aspects, but this is basically how I've been doing it.
Those piles weren't there in 1996.
No, but they come and go.
So
They don't stay there, they come and
The
go.
ones next to that container. Those big piles of dirt next to the container. You go back to your property, you got those rocks that you put there, and right to the right,
And the silt fence is there and so forth.
there's a container, and there's, and Greg walked around it and he took pictures and he said, this is wetlands. So, I mean, you should cover your behind.
I have. I got everything, but I'm gonna do nothing because I don't have to, and it's gonna just stay that way. That notice of intent can be in existence for the rest of my life and anybody else's. Because I'm just basically, I'm just letting everything stay the way it is.
So you're saying that the original notice of intent that showed an area of wetlands vanished into thin air and now does not exist on the property in that particular area. And you're saying that you're, through the notice of intent and everything else, that you haven't altered wetlands.
Correct.
But yet the wetlands that were present in 2008 have disappeared.
All I know is the botanist report is in my hands, and
Where did the wetlands go that were present there and outlined in 2008?
I just got a new wetlands thing. I don't know how they change and so forth. I can't answer all the questions.
We can actually ask for an independent botanist to come in and do something, can't we?
Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, they go out and look at the property.
Didn't you have a plan that showed where the wetlands were?
Yeah, right there. Yeah, I think you have a copy of it.
And those wetlands disappeared. They vanished.
I don't know, first of all, which one, we're talking about 0 Helm Street.
I'm talking about the wetlands that shows on the plans, the notice of intent that you filed in 2008. Where did those wetlands go? What happened to them?
I don't know. They're gone.
You own the property and you don't know where they went?
Because when I bought the property from Romano, that wetlands moved back and so forth. I don't know where they went.
I think you're getting the properties mixed up.
You're getting the whole thing, anything that happens to that.
There's a plan dated 2008 and a notice of intent.
And that's in the DEP has all that.
They're saying that you didn't build the project, but yet those wetlands up and walked away.
The project was going to be a 22 Helm, and that's 63, 62, and 61. 0 Helm is 65 and 64. 64 is the one that we went out and we walked originally with Greg, and you put the boulders and stuff around there, and we tromped around in the ticks. And then the other one, 65, is the one right to the right of your right-of-way.
Correct.
And that's the one that's got all the fill and the gravel that's mucky up there. And I don't think that was ever included in your NOI.
No, but no, it wasn't, but it's approved by the zoning for me to use that property as such. This is where you're having the problem.
It's on the wetlands. It's on the wetlands. I was down there, this swamp.
Doesn't wetlands trump zoning?
Zoning has nothing to do with it.
The property has been in existence there since, so I bought it from Warner, okay? And then he was using it as the same thing that I'm using it for now. Okay, he actually filled it all in.
Before you bought it?
Yes.
Were you on the commission?
Say again?
What year was that, you claim?
That I bought it from him?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 15, 14, I don't know. I forget.
2008 for the Romano property, 2019 for the Romano property, 2008 for the Warner property, 1994 for 22 Helm Street.
2008.
And that's when you filed the notice of intent?
That was for the...
At that time?
Yeah, no. Well, before that, but I think, yeah, somewhere around there for that property, for that building to be built, yeah.
In which reflected wetlands that were going to be altered?
No, there's no wetlands going to be altered.
You didn't build a project?
Didn't build a project.
That's what you're claiming on, that the project wasn't built, so the wetlands weren't there?
Project wasn't, well, whatever happened to the wetlands, I don't know. Because I've had another botanist come in and flag it again.
You own the property, but you don't know what happened to the
same
wetlands?
question. How many times do I need to answer the same question?
Until I find an answer that comes from you that makes sound sense. By telling me you don't know what happened to them and you own the property, you know they were there at one time, then the next time they disappeared.
Actually, the wetlands weren't even on my property. The wetlands were on Romano's property. If you look at the plans, if I'm recalling correctly, the wetlands were flagged on the Romano property.
There was a wetland line right along the border of the Warner parcel, the parcel that's
Yeah, we can't discuss 22 tonight, it's not on the agenda.
It's not 22, it's zero, this is 0 Helm Street. Warner is 0 Helm Street. And there was the property that Karen is talking about, there's a wetland there, and you did have it flagged in 2008. It's pretty much on the border of the property. If you pull the old plans from 2008, you can see it.
Who wants to walk it with me?
I'll go there
Who wants to ask me permission if you can walk it?
I'm on the Conservation Commission. May I have your permission, Mr. Commissioner, to...
Yeah, you asked me permission, yes.
I'm asking you permission.
Okay, but you have to remember, even as Conservation Commissioners, you have to ask the property owner.
I understand that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, anybody from the commission can go walk anytime they want, I don't care.
Okay, thank you. Just file the paperwork and get it over with.
I don't want to. basically being arrogant, yes.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, extremely.
I'm being very arrogant because I just had enough of this. You put up with something like this for 25
So
plus
get,
years?
yeah, but see, now you're doing,
Put it behind you, just do it.
this
Listen,
isn't,
you don't
you're
have
not,
to
no,
live
no, no,
that.
you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing with the Conservation Commission. You guys, there's a personality thing here where you two, the McCoys and whoever the other family is, forget that. You know, Hatfields and McCoys, just do what you're supposed to do. This is not setting a good example for everybody else. What if somebody else says, I don't want to do it? We'd make them do it now, wouldn't we?
Do make them do it.
No. If somebody's not going to do something with their land, you can't make them. In other words, if I have a piece of property, you have a piece of property, and you think they're gonna put in a house, you can't just say, okay, I think you're gonna put it in a house, file a notice of intent.
When it has to do with wetlands, or they wouldn't be able to build the house.
What if they're not, what if they're not doing anything? That's what I'm saying. This is
But
what.
whatever it's already been
Building a house,
done.
if it's within the wetlands line, the jurisdiction,
what if
you
they
file
do?
with a notice of intent.
Which what you don't understand is I'm not gonna do anything else there, so.
That's
what is
because
the
you've
notice
already
of
done
intent?
it.
What is the notice of intent for?
For what you have done. You've already altered the wetlands, you cut the trees down, you cut down the vegetation, you filled it in.
With permission, with this request for determination. This is what you seem to forget. I have, for what you're.
Those can be voided very easily.
For what you're talking about, I have a request for determination. 0 Helm Street.
You know, here's the point.
This is where I got the permission to take down the trees. This is,
Did you give permission to fill?
yeah, I basically told him I was gonna fill it. That comes automatically when you're trying to fill your land and make it level. You're gonna
Excuse
fill.
me, I asked him at that meeting specifically, and he said, it's in he was gonna just fill in some holes for the stuff he took out. He didn't talk about 230 cubic yards, plus he's also applied for another 400 cubic yards with planning frame. So, no.
So now
I don't think I was at that meeting, was I?
I don't know. Okay, so you got,
I just can't fathom the fact that wetlands can exist in 2008, and here we're now talking 2021, where they just simply up and walked away. And no one knows what happened to them.
Well, there's nothing going to get done tonight about this, because we still have to have
We're gonna go around and
conservation.
around and around.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to go right now for now.
go round in
And
circles.
DEP is gonna be continuously ignored by Mr. Noonan and have none of.
As you say, he's appealed it, and he's waiting, so.
So if we can't do anything, the best thing to do is contact DEP and talk to Greg DeCesar
Yep,
and have DEP initiate their own enforcement action,
which is what they're,
because the town of Abington's not.
which is what they're doing, that's why it's in their hands.
Well, they haven't started initiating anything. I've read some of the communications, and I would be kind of concerned.
Well, I mean, what would make the DEP happy and Mr. Noonan happy? Would just a cease and desist of any further?
He isn't doing
DEP
it
is
anyway.
gonna be- It's going to be more than just a cease and desist. They're going to give specific directions on what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
What
but
needs
what
to
I'm
do.
saying, once the horse is bolted, you can't.
It's an
can't close the
after the
gate.
fact filing. Any request for determination can be nullified. That's the easy process. Issuing the enforcement order is the tough part. If you can determine the wetlands have been altered, or the resources have been altered, which in this case, I think you can demonstrate that. There is a floodplain that you can clearly show that's there. There was once upon wetlands that were there. You could use Google Earth and show the changes in the land where it's been clear cut.
So let me ask you, if this was not the chairman of the Conservation Commission sitting here, what would, and I'm pulling on your expertise here, because obviously you know a lot about conservation and stuff, what would you do if you were the chairman of the commission and this situation happened?
And all this paperwork and everything that's there?
Yeah.
With DEP telling me that there is no certificate of compliance that's going to be issued. The fact that wetlands were altered,
Excuse me.
floodplain was altered.
Excuse me, I have to interrupt. The certificate of compliance is on 22 Helm Street. I want to make sure this is clarified, what we're talking about.
Excuse me, it's
Just wait.
Okay.
The certificate of compliance is on a project that was going to happen on 22 Helm Street.
And 0.
Kathy?
Sorry, I thought
You are talking about 0 Helm Street. You better clarify it, because
excuse me though, that
This is just asking up the
2008
wetlands.
filing was for both 22 Helm Street and the 0 Helm Street.
Okay, well, we can't do anything about 22 tonight.
Excuse me.
No, we cannot do anything about 22 tonight.
They're the same filing, 22, and I don't want to talk about 22, and 0 Helm Street are both under that certificate of compliance. It's one of the two, there's 2 0 Helm Street properties. This is the Warner property, which he bought in 2008, which is the one that Karen's talking about, that DEP is worried about, the building. So that certificate, he keeps saying it doesn't apply to it, but it does apply to one of the 0 Helm Street properties. I agree with him that the Romano property is not under that certificate of compliance.
Was lot
So
64.
I'm not arguing that point. I just want to clarify that
Well,
there's 2.
we're not going to go anywhere with this tonight. It's nothing.
It doesn't seem like, you guys are in circles at this point.
We are, because there's attorneys involved, there's DEP involved.
You know, I think perhaps you should call, you know, a couple of you should call Greg Cesare. He's really very nice, Cesare, and talk to him and understand what's going on, walk the property, and come back to your next meeting and, you know, decide what you wanted to do. Because I think any other applicant, you would have directed them to do something.
We also
And
have...
they probably would have issued him an enforcement order, because he did get an enforcement order back in 1999 for filling the 22 Helm Street, which is not part of this discussion. But that's what the board normally does when people bring in fill.
Is that the area that DEP years ago kept on sending notice to the commission to take action?
I don't know, I wasn't on the board, Jim.
It was just prior to my leaving.
Yeah. Oh,
you did it?
1999.
No, I didn't.
1999 was a long time.
That was after.
That was after you left, Jim.
So I remember DEP calling the town and telling them that the commission needed to take action on it, things that are going on back there. I'll contact Greg.
Well, there's also Andy Poyant, who's a circuit rider. You can always get him out to walk the property as well. You wouldn't mind that, would you? If I can coordinate with Andrew to come out? Andrew Poyant, he's our circuit rider from the DEP. He's the one that comes out if there's a concern. He comes out and checks anything out. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Lee.
So we're leaving it at that?
We closing this for tonight then?
Sure, you can go home and go to bed.
All right, discussion on 0 Helm Street is closed for the night. Next, you want to step in on building permits and site visits? We have nothing.
Nothing on those.
Correspondence?
No correspondence. We're gonna have, okay, we don't even have to do any order of conditions tonight, do we?
Minutes from June 29th.
Everybody had a chance to read the minutes from June 29th?
Yes.
And
motion to accept the minutes from June 29th, 2021.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you, cameraman, we're done.
Good?
Do we make a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, motion to adjourn?
I'd still like to see the agenda.
Aye.